What's up, saber dudes and saber ladies? Because there are saber ladies, like I said, and they're awesome. Alright, this next video that I'm doing is actually a saber that is very special to me, since it is the first lightsaber that I had, first saber that I had that is got me into being like customizing sabers, because at the time I collected, when I first got in, I remember back in the day when I was afraid to open it up to take off the pommel and be like, what's in this thing, and then pull it out and feel it kind of like, or actually really my first experience was Saber Forge. Obviously I think a lot of people get into the hobby because of either Saber Forge or Ultra Sabers, which is a given. You know, if you type in lightsaber in Google, custom sabers, you're gonna see them first. It's just the way it is. And to me, the Saber Forge designs were just cool. Like, I like them. The thing with the Ultra Sabers is, I personally don't really care for them. I think I own one or two. One, I didn't even know it was an Ultra Saber until later on, which is a hero that I modified and made it a little bit better. And then the others, or the other one was I did for my niece for Christmas, and it's actually really nice. I think it was the Prophecy, the one that looks like kind of like a graflex and an Anakin Attack of the Clone mix. That one is actually really not a bad hilt. And I've seen Ultra Sabers. One of the booths they had at I think it was Austin Wizard World Comic Con that we filmed. Me and my friends and I, we do conventions. We film conventions for a website called scifiction.com, a YouTube channel, which check it out. You know, we get around. I get to interview. Well, I film. My friend who owns the site, he does the interviews and we film them, so we get to meet all these people. But didn't do Ultra Sabers, but we went, because once we do the conventions, then we walk around and we have fun. You know, we meet people, and I got to see Ultra Sabers, and I mean, they're not for me. They're great for dueling. I understand that. Fast turnaround deliveries. You order one within a couple days, you get it. You order Saber Forge, then there's no telling how long you'll get it. That's just the nature of the beast. I mean, it's pretty commonly known that their shipping times aren't the best, unless you go to Etsy.com. See, at the time when I first started, I was getting off of eBay, and I was fortunate. I didn't have any mishaps, but I ordered a couple, and I was too scared to even open them because I was like, oh my gosh, like, what's in there? And there's not even really, like, these are old school Saber Forge sabers, because I mean, this is like 3 or 4 years ago, about almost 4 years ago, and it was just a bunch of, there's no chassis, there's nothing in there. So, you know, when I had a problem, I was like, oh no. So I had to learn how to do all this stuff. Well, anyways, the one saber that I had started to build up the courage was a Korbanth 2.0. I watched a lot of Matthew Dooley's Let's Make a Graflex, or Let's Build a Graflex YouTube, and it was just instrumental into all of my installing. I mean, his video series on that is just him and Shamim, who they're not available anymore. I think he got rid of his channel and all of his videos, which is a huge bummer. And one of the reasons why I started to do this was I was like, you know what? I loved watching him talk about his lightsabers. So he did a ton of commissions. He had a ton of videos. It's really unfortunate that it's gone. Same with Jordan Eugene. He used to have a lot. SoCal Sabers. And I know he's going through something right now, and I feel terrible for him, and I wish him the best. He always seemed like a really stand-up dude. But it's just sad that we lost a lot of that video content, because I mean, that's how I learn. I'm a visual learner. So I watched all these videos and all this stuff, and it got me, feeling confident, because I was like, I can watch step by step. So I ordered the Korbanth 2.0 kit, and it was it was my first step into installing and doing my own thing, and of course I was over my head with crystal chamber. Um, you know, just I wanted to make it as nice as I could, and I really should have taken an easier build for my first one. Lesson learned. Oddly enough, though, because all right, so I bought the kit, and then while I was putting it together, I got thread locked. It didn't have the chassis inside. When you have a 2.0 kit like this one, you don't have a chassis in there, and it's not aligned correctly, like just by just a little bit, and it wasn't greased. I didn't have any thread grease, and I was just sitting there like, what's wrong? And then it stopped, and I was like, oh no, and I couldn't get it to unthread. And I tried everything. I tried heating it and do all this stuff to get it to break, and it wouldn't. And then I was just like, well, crap, now I have just a static hilt, because I mean, I had the chassis, which is this chassis right here. I painted up. Long story on this hilt too, but maybe I'll get to that in a second. But so I had this chassis and had all this stuff for a crystal chamber reveal, and there was no way to reveal it, so I was bummed, and I was like, well, crap, now I gotta get another 2.0, which ended up being this one. So I got this 2.0, and I installed it, my first install ever, and it had a Nano V3 in it, and crystal lit up, and it wasn't that clean, it wasn't that tight, obviously, because it was my first ever, and I went for a freaking Goth 3D Designs Night chassis, which the redesign is a little bit better from what I hear, but this was just a hard, tight thing to do, and it wasn't NeoPixel, it was a Tricrete. It's still on Tricretes, which I've kind of gone away from. And I had a friend who was doing his own install business, and he was kind of somebody I would talk to, and he would help me out and give me pointers and tips. And I was like, hey man, because he was like trying to get commission work, and I was like, here bud, well, I'll send you mine, and you can do that. Well, stuff happens, unfortunately, and I lost contact with him. He had it for about a year or so before I lost contact with him, and I was really bummed. He was a good friend too, and I wish the best for him. And obviously, it's just a lightsaber. I mean, it sucked that I was out because he never shipped it back, and I lost contact. I don't know where he is or how he is. Up until recently, I was doing a convention in Tennessee a couple months back. Well, maybe like 2 months back, and I met a friend of mine who is on the pages, and I've been watching him for a while, and I'm just like, it's awesome, dude. But I saw him, and I was like, hey, dude, I know you, because I always try to stop people at conventions if I see them, and I'm like, hey, what's up? Like somebody who understands the lightsaber craze. And we got to talking, and he lived in Tennessee, and he knew that installer, and he was like, hey, I actually think I might have your saber in a box. And I was like, no way, if you do, that'd be great. Send it back, I'll pay for the shipping, and I'm gonna try to do something really nice for him, make him a box and something like that, just for doing that, because he sent it back to me, and that's just the craziest thing ever. So the saber was gone from my collection, from me. I just kind of scratched it off like, oh, that sucks, that's another loss, for like 2.5, 3 years up until recently. So I got it back, and that was cool, and I'm gonna install it eventually, because it's so much fun. I love that saber. Anyways, long story short on this saber, so that's what led me to going back to the thread locked saber. So I had it thread locked, and I was like, crap, now I just have this one that won't open, won't do anything. And it was the first time I ever chopped one up, cut it, just played with it, and was like, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna put it on here. And I made I guess another it's a Scrapflex, which is how I found Scrap Tech. I posted a picture of this saber, and someone was like, hey, that's kind of Scrap Tech, and they showed me the Scrap Tech aficionados page, and I went over there, and of course from there I was like, I love all Scrap Techs. But I took it and I made it a little bit more TFU2 promo style saber influenced, right? So I got like the control box up here, a little bit of a waist section, and then a leather wrap, because I'm a sucker for leather wraps. I know some people don't like them, they don't really care much for it. I know that some people are like, oh my gosh, that's the last thing I want to see is a leather wrap. But me personally, man, I dig a leather wrap. It reminds me of the comics that I saw when I was a kid. Their lightsabers were just different looking. It feels, leather wraps always seem like Old Republic to me. I mean, Rom Coda has a leather wrap, and it was like one of the coolest sabers ever. I have a few Codas that I've made. But I just love leather wrap, and I try to keep myself from doing it on every saber. But, but yeah, so I kind of weathered it up a little bit, not too much, but enough. And again, this was my very first time playing with customizing of any kind. I mean, this pommel came from the with the Black Series Luke, that fat neck. Just took what I could off of it, and I was like, once I saw that it was a fat neck, because I had it back in the day, and I was like, oh, it's cool. And then I saw that once I started to learn, excuse me, guys, I got a cold. Once I learned that it was a fat neck, I was like, never again will I play with this thing. It hurt my soul. So I took the pommel off that, and that's actually what's on here right now. It's retention drilled into a existing pommel that has this tongue on there tight. It's on there like a MHS pommel. I just did like a little retention and some epoxy, and I mean, there you go. Didn't really have to be too crazy. D-ring, put a little bit of E6000 in there to keep it from being too clanky. See, you don't hear it, which I like to do. Some of the D-rings are too loose, and it's like, it's just like too much. It's a very standard removable battery chassis, and again, I'm probably not gonna pop it out and show you because I gotta kind of beat it, and then sometimes I have a little chopstick that I'll stick in there, press up against the back of the sled, and just, and then it'll pop out. And I made it, and I've reinstalled this a few times and redone some few things, so it's tight, and it only comes out a little bit, just enough for you to get the battery out, because it is a tight space, which makes for a loud saber. This was a very loud saber when I first had it. But yeah, also, this is the first, it was a Tri-Cree at the beginning, this was my first NeoPixel install. And it's done with, because once Cal posted a video on NeoPixel builds, yeah, check that out, TFU2 inspired, I dig it. He posted a video on how to do step-by-step, kind of like how Matthew Dooley, but it's like a 30-minute video on how to do a NeoPixel build. A little different than what I use now. It's a blade plug, graflex blade plug. It's a little different now. It's the 4-pin like connector. I don't know if you can see in there. It's like a DIN plug, 4-pin. Yeah. So blade specific. I'll upgrade it later, but at the same time, I'm kind of, you know, once I make something, I'm like, that's cool, I'll get to it again, and then it's like, I've got so many other things to get to, so one day, because this blade is, the first blade I made, I went and redid it. It's very short, very short. I kind of saw this as like a, you know how gladiators have like a shorter blade, like our Spartan sword is just a lot shorter, it's not a long blade. I don't like that. It swings a lot easier. But I made it. It was a pain in the butt. The first pixel blade that I made. So what I ended up doing was I ended up getting the foam and the strip and trying to get it through. And I didn't get that inchworm thing that you have to eventually do. You have to get really good at that if it's tight. Because I didn't cut my strips either. So this is like a full strip in there, full width. So it was so tight and I couldn't get it. And I mean, man, it was like a Frankenstein piece. Like, I cut pieces and I got re-soldered them, and it was kind of a mess, and I can't believe I got through it. But what I ended up doing was taking a knife. I know this is so ridiculous. I took a box cutter knife and I cut all the way down like a freaking Subway sandwich, and just put my blade in. And I was like, that's cool. And then I was like, oh crap, I goofed it up. So I ended up using packing tape and went all the way around. And what that did at the time was it hid all my shadows, which was kind of cool because it was like too much going on or something. It was just some kind of phenomenon. Now, when I went back and redid it with cellophane wrap and it's clean, and I was like, perfect. And I tried moving the pieces, the gaps, because whenever you get these strips about 2 feet up, there's a gap between them, which is just annoying, and it can create a shadow on the blade, which again is annoying. So I think Cal's making one where there's no gap, but it's a lot longer. We'll see. But and now it's more prominent, and I'm like, dang it, man! I should have never messed with this blade. So I'll be upgrading it sometime soon. But I may have done this backwards. Works for me. I like it. I know some people do it differently, but this is the 4-pin connector, the 3D printed holder, little retention screw. That's what I'm saying. Nowadays this feels pretty ancient, in my opinion, as far as how NeoPixel technology has come up. But it was my first one, and I'll never forget on that desk, because to me, I was like, I don't know if I'm, ready to do a NeoPixel build. That seems too intense. I'll never forget it sitting there in the test phase. I mean, it wasn't even in the tube, or it was, but there was no diffusion or anything. And I pushed it, and it was just, and I just like stood up, and I was like, I'm a lightsaber god. But now it's a good feeling, it really was. So this is a Prism 5.0. Y'all know I have a few. And I think the board's kind of messed up. It's got some beep again, but I guess it's Corellian. And I sand the blades too. I do a method of sanding to get the diffusion a little brighter. So, and this one was bright, super bright. I tweaked the settings to my liking, my setting that I have going on. And I love the way that this feels too. This graflex. The control box, because I'm right-handed, and sometimes the control box is on the right side to me for graflex, and that's in the way. So you gotta flip it and you gotta hold it, and it feels like the ears are upside down. I don't know, it just always feels weird like that to me. This one always feels really good because my hand goes around the box, my thumb goes right there, and right there. I mean, it's such a nice grip. And then you have the lower grip down here. It's such a comfortable, it's so comfortable. This is a very comfortable saber to hold. I mean, anywhere you hold it, obviously if you're not holding it for grip, but anywhere you hold it, it's comfortable. And it's got a big wonky control box on it, which is just crazy. Let's go through the fonts. That always gets me. Ooh, this one's really cool. Sorry guys. Oh man, I had a cold, some kind of cough thing, and I'm all hopped up on Tussin too, Robitussin. I'm getting a little high over here. This is, I think, a starkiller. I forget his name. Vengeance. Something Starkiller Vengeance. I can't remember. Oh man, I really wish I could remember that one. It's cool on this one. The one thing that gets me though is the swings are very quiet. And I had it on another saber, and I was like, maybe not. But since this one has, okay, so originally your Graflex 2.0, the shell slides all the way over, so it closes this little gap right here in the which is for like a switch channel to feed in. and because this is so tight, the sound will bounce back and come out through here. So this whole thing just echoes, and basically like a sound event comes this way and sound event comes that way. And you hold it here. This saber is very loud, and then also you can feel you can even hear the difference in just that alone. I'll show you on another font. So this saber's loud, so whenever I had this sound font on it, originally on another saber, I was like, oh, the swings are too quiet. But on this one, it registers, and it's actually really cool. I'm actually a fan of how quiet those swings are, because it's it's not way too quiet on this stuff. All right. Look at that. This is Lignin by Lord Blocko, I believe. Really cool. And that yellow, well, it's more of an amber, but that looks good. That looks really good on camera. Love it. And I'm a sucker for that yellow blade. A lot of like the Knights of the Fallen Empire, like Arkan's blade, his brother Thexen's blade. That whole trailer, man, that cinematic trailer, I was just a sucker. Give me that. Give me that in the movies, man. Why don't we have a movie of that kind of stuff? This is Bear Ringgit. Again, by Lord Blacko, I think. That's why I like the shorter blade when I'm swinging it here. I don't have that much space, so I had a 37-inch blade, I'd be destroying this whole room trying to swing this thing around. Alright, let's run through the colors. Prism has color changing on the fly. Press the auxiliary and the activation at the same time. And you got about, 12 blade color profiles? And they're all stock too. I haven't messed with any of I haven't like tweaked the amount of shading and the blues and all that stuff. Getting like close to purple here. There we go. That's like a purple. Purple's cool. Like a hot pink. Oh wait, we went straight to red. Skip past that purple, huh? And the prism will remember whichever color you set it on and cut it off. I want to get back to that. Yeah, look at that. That amber. Amber in person is not the brightest. It's a little, of the colors, it's a little bit more tame. Yellow. The thing with yellow and purple and some of the other colors on some of the boards, if you have a pulse set, like on camera, this looks really good. See, it's pulsing. I set that to, I can't remember my settings. I think it's probably like 65 pulse D, and then 100 pulse L or whatever. There's two settings, but the thing is with a different color when you have mixing, because to make yellow, it's red and green mixed, so when it pulses, it kind of bounces between those colors. So sometimes the colors like, purple, and this is on the Prism boards, I haven't seen it as much on the Crystal Focus, has a weird pulse effect, because it's pulsing two different colors, not yellow. Like, you don't see a yellow solidly pulse, you see it kind of fluctuate between red and green. But still, on camera that looks pretty boss. That's a loud font. As a matter of fact, watch, I'll show you the difference. What I was saying. So, just this little sound hole right here. I mean, this thing has sound coming throughout everywhere. I don't know, crazy. But anyways, this was my first lightsaber build that I was like, I'm gonna chop everything up and make a bunch of different things. And I haven't really stopped since. I've done a lot. I wanted that TFU2, which I eventually have. I got like a Saber Forge one I'll do a video on later. It's pretty cool. But yeah, one nice little look. Again, it's pretty dirty, beat up. I was like Old Republic style 2.0 Starkiller TFU2. I just went crazy. But I dig it. It's one of my favorites. Definitely the first. Look at that. I mean, she's beautiful. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I don't know. And I've redone the wrap a bunch of times. I did it a couple different colors, a couple different leathers. This one is by Defcon Bird off of eBay. And I think it's because I've tried brown, I've tried black. This is like in between. It's very I forget, man. It's like some charcoal one or something like that. But I wanted to go back to black, but a worn black. And this is just a, from far away it looks black, but up close you kind of see it's kind of worn, kind of ashy looking black, which is cool. Because you know, I scored it with a knife or with an X-Acto knife, the blade, kind of give it some scratches here and there. I wanted it to be weathered leather, but not like torn up. But yeah, there you go. There she is. This is what started a lot of the madness, and I dig it. Like I said, I love cutting up a 2.0 kit, Korbanth 2.0 kit. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it. Hope you had fun. I know I did. I always do. Alright, see you in the next video.